Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of this series in Bootcamp. I'm excited that you came back and wanted to be a part of it. And this time we're going to be talking about, what the definition of a revolutionary is. And that's a really important question because, as I said earlier in the first series, in the first video, the Revolution Church is made up a little bit differently. We've had this desire to try to become as much like the first century church as we possibly can in the 21st century. And so we're trying to get back to the mindset of a first century Christian. And so what we do is in our church we kind of designed it a little bit different to avoid a common 21st century misconception, and that is that members have rights. And rather than to say members have rights, we would rather say that revolutionaries have responsibilities. Because responsibility is really about what being a Christian is all about. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times in churches, we've turned it into the situation where we've kind of turned it upside down, where you have just a handful of people doing ministry, and then a whole bunch of people trying to approve or disapprove of how that handful of people does ministry. And it's impossible to grow a church in that area. You might add 1 or 2 people a year when you have that kind of concept. But when the revolutionaries realize they have responsibilities and that they're empowered, that they can go out and they can do ministry, you can exponentially grow the church. And that's what we're all about. That's the way the first century church grew, wasn't it? Yep. I mean, it just took off in a crazy way, and that's what we really want to be a part of. That's what we really want to see. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the responsibilities of revolutionaries. Like I said, members have rights, but revolutionaries have responsibilities. And one of the things that I'm going to ask these guys to help me discuss with you is what those responsibilities look like. And one of them you're doing, and I'm really excited about it. You're partaking in boot camp, and I think it's important that every single revolutionary gets trained on what the vision of the church is, what the direction is, how we talk, the things that we're all about. Why do you guys think it's important, Vic? Why do you think it's important for people to partake in boot camp?
I think it gives them a frame of reference to, I guess, whenever you, and it's just, I don't want to sound like it's a legal thing, but when you get involved in a certain type, like a sale of a house or whatever, I want to know what's all the legal, the information there. I need to know it up front, and it really is important to know. And I don't want to sound negative and say know what you're getting yourself into, but you do really need to understand what we're all about here at the Revolution. And it's important to go through boot camp because it gives you the structure in to put it in a slang way how we do what we do here at Revolution. And
yeah.
So,
and I think it just lays out to me, your manifesto just lays out to me too. Attending boot camp tells you exactly what we think of responsibilities. The responsibilities are just not all on the pastor to do whatever. It's going to show you that the members that have responsibilities too, you're going to be responsible to doing whatever.
And that's really important, isn't it, Doug?
We've
got to engage the laity. We've got to engage the people.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of churches are kind of missing that mark, and that's something we're really trying to attempt to do. And that engaging a large group of people kind of leads us into the next point, and that is that revolutionaries have the responsibility to protect unity. Because when you have a huge group of people, when you put a lot of people in one area, people want to pull in different directions. And that can't happen because that kind of stops the forward growth of the church. And something that has, and I've said over and over and over again in church services, and my people are probably sick of hearing me say it, but I think it's so important, is that I've noticed every time in the book of Acts that God does something really powerful, it's always prefaced by one particular event or one particular phrase, and that is that the people are in one place in one accord. And I think that's what God wants us to do. He wants us to be in one place in one accord. He wants us to be praying together. He wants us to have repentant hearts, searching after who He is as God. So as a revolutionary, you're going to have some responsibilities toward unity. And one of those responsibilities that you're going to have is acting in love towards one another. Why, Doug, why is that so important that we become a church that's just filled with love and the fruit of the Spirit? Why is that so important?
God commands us to love our neighbors just like we love one another, and I think that's what the Revolution is doing right now. We're loving on people looked down on. We want you to know that you're going to be loved by our people, and you're going to be part of God's people. You're not just part of a group that's overlooked or whatever, anything like that. But at the Revolution, and that's one of the things, like you say, when you come in, you're going to ask first question is, what are we going to do for members? No, you're not. You got responsibilities, and your responsibilities is pretty much laid out for you in the Bible too.
Yeah,
So,
it's really just getting back to the core of what's written in Scripture, isn't it?
the core.
Yeah, and go ahead.
We're called to love one another, and I think, in this aspect of protecting unity, if you genuinely have Christ's love for someone, that deep agape, unconditional love, you're not going to do things that would disrupt unity, like gossip or what some old preachers say, sowing discord amongst the brethren.
It's really poison in you. I mean, it's just poison. When you're not in unity and you're in gossip, it's just poison.
And that's
It poisons your whole system.
Love, honor, respect.
Yeah, it poisons your whole system.
That's a good point, because the next thing that you're responsible for as a revolutionary in protecting unity is refusing to gossip. And I believe gossip can destroy a church in a heartbeat. You can have a church that just kind of gets along and everything's wonderful, and you can take one person and you could plant them right in the middle of a group of people who just love each other and care for each other, and they can start that gossiping. James talks about this. He says the tongue is like a deadly poison. It's like the helm of a ship is stirred with a very, very small helm,
rudder,
a rudder, and it can turn the whole thing around. So it's really important that we keep ourselves in check and we keep each other in accountability. And that's one thing that happens at the Revolution Church that I like.
Yeah.
We come to each other and say, hey brother, I'm noticing something in you, and I want to kind of develop you and help you along. And we approach each other in love, and we hold each other accountable.
Your brothers and sisters take the poison out of you when they bring it to you.
If they love you.
If they love you, they're going to take the poison. They have to take the poison out of you.
That's right. That's right. So, and then the other thing, and this is important too, is following leadership, and this is difficult for me to say as the pastor of the church, but it's imperative that we follow good godly leadership. And the thing is that as a man, I'm not Jesus Christ, and I'm not the most perfect leader in the world. And
it's not that you're without any accountability.
It's not that I'm without any accountability either. I mean, Vic is on my staff. My staff holds me accountable. The ministry leadership team holds me accountable. And believe me, they've all done it at one time or another. And they've been there to support me and to help me and to develop. But they respect the leadership. And I respect them as leaders and what their area is. And it's just so important that you're following leadership that's trying their best to seek after God's will, and that's what the accountability is about, to make sure that we're seeking after God. But in our humanity, we make some bad decisions. And what we want to be is we want to be open and honest and genuine about our faults. When we make mistakes, when we go in the wrong direction on some things, we just say, hey, that wasn't a good idea. We've done that thousands of times.
Based on the truth.
Based on the truth.
All is true.
Yeah.
That can be true.
But the thing is that when we have that type of leadership that's that vulnerable, we just ask that you follow that leadership and respect that leadership, and that's of the utmost importance. I don't think we can ever get anywhere if we don't follow leadership, and that's really, really, really important. And then the last part of this protecting unity is having a positive attitude. I can't stress that enough. It's something that God has really been working in my life over the past few years. We've got some people in our church that have just been huge mentors to me in this area, and it has just revolutionized the way I think. And it's having that positive thought. I mean, it's so easy to go into life with a defeatist attitude, and then we wonder why we're not accomplishing anything, Vic, how does a positive attitude really influence you?
Anything negative, in my opinion, doesn't even come from God.
Davy Downer.
Yeah. And any negative thought that's going to pop into your head about what you think of yourself, what you think of the situation around you, can't be from God. God, desires in Jeremiah 29:11, He desires the best for us, not to harm us, but to give us a future and a hope. And I think, when you can focus on things like that, I think, you can focus on a positive attitude. I've been so grateful as well, like Keith says, for those surrounding him that can keep me in check when I get in that Debbie Downer
Debbie Downer,
place.
poison.
Right.
It is
Another,
poison.
another sign of poison right there. Man, I tell you what, if you're not positive, that's not what God intends us to be. He wants us to be positive. And that's just a Debbie Downer when you first thing you see somebody, oh man, you know what's coming the first time you see them. So.
Yeah, because the final outcome, as we know, is positive. We win, right?
And
we
we win.
need to live
God
like that.
designed
And
us
we need
for
to live
success.
like
And
that.
you really just need to
We've got to
research
live
your
like
heart a little bit, man, when you're thinking all that negative stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you might need to look into your own closet a little bit.
Mhm.
That's right.